Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Civ Show podcast. We suck, so you don't have to. I'm your host, Moisas.
Raising Zozo.
Nystagmus.
We're getting pretty good at that intro, huh? Yeah, that was pretty solid.
Except for when you comment on it.
No, that's all part of it, man. That was pretty good.
Even my commenting on you commenting on it and the sentence that preceded this one.
Whoa, dude, that's
I just remember the good old days when it was just me and Moy for the first 20 minutes of the podcast.
Geez, that was
It was so orderly.
Yeah, it was so less chaotic.
You had cohesive conversations.
Those took turns. Yeah, we didn't interrupt each other.
Turns.
Wow.
You didn't interrupt each other. Overbearing.
There's a lot of listening involved.
Listening. What happened, guys?
I don't know. I can't figure it out between the time that you weren't here and you were here. I just can't figure it out.
It used to be so good. This show used to be so good.
It used to be so much better back in the old days.
So
Bring
much
back
better.
the old.
Well,
the
half of the show was better in the old days.
Definitely happy to be here. It's always good to talk to you guys because it's the opportunity we get to talk in real life instead of like through Discord and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
this is the time.
It's still through Discord though.
Technically correct. Technically correct, which is the best kind of
the
correct.
best kind of correct.
Yeah, join our Discord. I think that's what you're getting at, right? Join our Discord.
Yeah, that was the segue, man. It was awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about first. I'll give you a rundown of what the episode's gonna look like. We're gonna talk about next Sunday. We have a special announcement for you, so stay tuned for that. We're gonna talk about the new patch, Byzantine and the Gauls, and then after that, we're gonna talk about everything else. So let's start with last Sunday. Last Sunday.
So,
go ahead.
I know. So I thought I was going to talk first since it was one of my rare Nystagmus wins. So I knew that at the end of the game, we kind of had that conversation about what we're going to do with wonders and stuff like that. And I didn't really pipe up a lot because here was my basic strategy when I walked into that game. Basically, I was going to speed to work ethic in Aurora, build up my production, and then I was going to build wonders because I knew that everyone was going to be far away from me. So
it's a cromulent strategy. Wow. It's a Zoe strategy.
I was going to do that because I like to call wonders GG buildings. So in a score game, where no one would ever threaten me in any way, shape, or form, I was going to build GG buildings until I won the game, which is exactly what happened. And so
it's why
I get how that can be frustrating. I get why that's frustrating.
Wrong. That is legit. That's a legitimate strategy. You sat back, you risked it all. What if someone attacked you? That could have happened.
I understand. I just think it's a little heavily weighted too much on one thing versus other thing. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because let's be fair. Like honestly, I didn't. My army count didn't get above 500 until the very. So basically, I was like, build GG buildings until the very end of the game when everyone's going to turn on me and try to take me out, and then just build army the last like 30 turns of the game. Right, that way I just have a huge army at the end, and then no one can take me on. Right, and so that was my basic strategy walking into the entire game. I was like, I'm going to grind out a victory here. It's not going to be a pretty victory. It's not going to be an overwhelming victory. It's going to be I'm going to squeak in past the finish line.
We've all been there, and he's gotten victories like that. I've gotten victories like that. You're welcome to the club, dude.
I needed a win. I needed a win.
I get it.
You had a big lead. It wasn't even a contest. Like the action was between me and Moy.
Yeah, it was so close. It was so close.
So for me, for that game, you guys know my opinion of mods. I still have not met a mod I liked. That was fun. I'm not saying that I liked it though, because it still had some wonky things that I just see generally in mods. The biggest one for this one was once you finish the Renaissance, that's it. You're basically a gimped Civ. Most of our units were all knight replacements. So maybe on a marathon speed game, that would have been a lot more fun.
My favorite moment in that entire game was when my dragon, which was the unit they used for the dragon, was a tank, and it upgraded to a tank. So it didn't change at all. It just upgraded to a tank.
Visually, it's still the same thing. Like, did this work?
So that makes me wonder, like, hey man, is Moy attacking me with a bunch of hydras? Oh no, they're tanks. That's worse.
No. That's funny.
And because we were on online speed, I found that like my long war that started at the beginning of the game, and I think like just near the end is when I declared peace. But like they were able to move through the era that my units were relevant relatively quickly, and I was striking them hard from. So I don't know. It was still fun. I will say that. I was still genuinely entertained. I still believe the computer was incapable of declaring war on us unless a vote made them do so.
I don't know.
Jury's still out on that one. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I did 3 other test games, and none of the computers declared war.
They were very less warmongery than like I would expect. Like Civ, I'm just used to being. I was declared war on by Canada. That's how like much the game hates me. Like Canada is like, yeah, you know what? Screw you. I'm just declaring war on you. Like,
I'm sorry.
But yeah, I there is some compelling evidence that Zoe comes up with that, and maybe in the mod they were not capable of declaring war on us.
I like the meme that like everything bad happens to Nystagmus. I like this meme. Let's keep this going. Like we can't let this die. It's so good.
It's so far been happening though. Like I don't know. The game's just like, oh, it's Nystagmus, so comets are gonna fall on his cities and blizzards are gonna hit everything.
We had no modes. There was no modes there.
Modes.
So, what would you guys think of that?
Could you imagine though if there was no modes and a blizzard did run through Nystagmus' city and blew up all of his holy sites? Dude, that would have been.
So it happened at the very end. It happened at the end of the game.
That's true. I remember that. Yeah.
That's right. He got like devastated by a massive blizzard.
Yeah, I remember. Man, if that happened early in the game, I would have laughed.
Yeah, that would have nullified it. I'm like, yes, I got it, and then a blizzard destroys all my holy sites. I'm like.
Apparently they fixed that bug. They say that in the patch notes. Spoiler
But the
alert.
mod is not the game, right?
No,
right? The mod.
So apparently, it's like it was a bug where they weren't checking the adjacency bonuses like on repair or something like that. So it never got to that point. But then every campus, or not every campus, but every district and every tile needed to be checked separately. So it's like it's not like you can make like a check bonus when it's repaired, like that piece of code. Like every district and every tile improvement needs a separate function to check to if it's repaired and then get all the bonuses that were there before. So that was the bug, apparently. If that made sense to either of you.
Sharks RIP Nystagmus' luck so hard.
Yeah. It's just it's funny. I like the meme.
We just continue the meme. It's cool, and I'll just like continue just making it. It's one of those things where you make it happen basically, just because it just keeps on happening. Right?
It's like
then you get in this weird situation. It's like it hasn't happened. Why hasn't it happened all of a sudden?
It's like when you think something's gonna happen, you kind of make it happen. What's that? I don't know what that's called, but
manifest destiny.
Sure, we'll go with that. Why not? I don't even know what that means.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like
okay, yeah.
Which is a form of manifest destiny.
Sure, why not?
As a matter of fact,
I have a feeling this is like gonna.
Here's
go
my
into
question.
Star Trek talk or something.
Here's my question, so we can move on from this. And I think we should. This is a question we should ask. I think at the end of every mod, because I have a feeling this won't be the last mod that we see. So for you guys, an individual thing, would you want to play this again on the TheCivShow? My vote is no.
This particular mod?
This particular mod. Okay. I think there's too many holes in it. I would need to see a significant upgrade, and I'd want to see more sustainability throughout the game beyond the Renaissance somehow. I don't know what they would do. And then also the map was just too gigantic, which made it difficult. So I would say no, this is not one that I personally would want to try again without some significant upgrades.
Go ahead.
So I don't want to rule it out. Like I thought it was still pretty fun, right? Like to be honest, like I always loved the Warhammer fantasy map. It was kind of cool to play on it, to be honest. Like I always thought, even though it was just like a kind of like, hey, here's the map of the real world. We're just going to shake it like a snow globe. And that's basically the map we're going to use now. Because all the continents look very similar to the ones in real life. But I always was like, back when I was really into Warhammer, I always thought it was a really cool, although they made Canada a frozen wasteland. Right? Like they're like, hey, what is Canada known for? Frozen wasteland. Okay, we'll make it a frozen wasteland. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to make the Dark Elves live there. And they're going to live in 3 cities only. And then that's it. Although I do think that the main issue would be balance it, because like if you start where in on that land, like the Dark Elves, I don't know about everyone else, but like the fact that I can farm like grasslands
Yeah,
like
that
on
was
tundra,
crazy. Yeah.
and then I got the Aurora, and because every one of my tiles was tundra, all of them.
I feel like though they
Um,
had to put that because if you didn't have that, you'd struggle. You'd struggle a lot more without it.
oh yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like if I'm not OP, then I suck, right?
It's
Like
more like damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Like if you
Yeah.
I
do
had
it,
a
it's OP.
lot
If
of
you don't,
tundra.
then you're broke. Then you're terrible.
Tons of tundra, and it was useless. I was vampire, so it was useless for me.
right, but it was like I didn't have a single city not in tundra. I didn't have a single
Right.
non-tundra tile. That was like it was just basically all tundra. And so we'll have to see. I wouldn't rule it out, but I can definitely see those like concerns. I will call them concerns about the balance and the map in general as well.
Oh yes.
I I I would say I would respond to Zoe to not expect an entire game of new units in a mod because that is a lot. This has a lot already. This Warhammer is more than most, so I guess appreciate what's there. Maybe playing on a slower speed might be more your fancy, or just use the units more. So like I don't know, maybe me and Nystagmus didn't really get to use the war units, but I think you did. So at least you got to use part of your civ or part of your uniqueness, whereas we didn't really do that. We just used the adjacency bonuses that were given to us with our civ ability and our leader ability. I would do the mod again. I wouldn't do the map again. I would do
If you could do the mod on a different map.
on just like a regular map. Yeah, like a regular
Yeah.
civ generated map.
You know, if there was one easy fix, if you're gonna have 7 units, why not have some of them are in the medieval era, and
Yeah.
then have like
Space
the
them out
game
more,
is
yes.
so rich, like it's such a rich game that you could have done one of the big units from each of the empires and have it that this is the replacement for tanks,
Mhm.
just so there is a little bit of a. You got 7 units, why not stretch them out over the eras? That might be an easy fix.
100% agree with you there, and I think that
I
would be
do
a
want to
really good
give props,
change.
though. I know we're doing a lot of criticizing, but a lot of props to the person who made
Yes.
that mod,
Yes.
because that
Yeah.
mod is like really complex, and
Yes.
I do have to give them props on that one. That it's a really complex mod. Whoever, if they're out there listening to us eventually in the future at some point, we did have a lot of fun. It's constructive criticism.
It's constructive.
For next time, for Civ 7, if you make it again, this is what we do, and it would be like that much better, you know?
We'll have them on the show. We'll have
That
them
would
on the
be
show
awesome.
sometime,
That would be awesome.
and maybe we'll play the game and be like, I might suggest.
And then they'll just be like, "Hey Zoe, when you're able to actually use the computer, then you can talk to me."
Oh, shit. What
Oh, it's over. It is over. All right. Good night.
All right, let's move on to our big announcement. This is kind of a big one. It's something that we're organizing offline, off air, off the scenes, with a bigger community, and it's something that we're very, very proud to announce as well. And that is that us, the Civ Show, and 6 other streamers are going to be featured in a 1-day 9-player, don't know the format yet, but 9-player game where we're all going to raise money for Extra Life, and that's going to be happening on December 20th. The time is still yet to be announced as well, but it's going to be a 9-streamer game.
We're calling it the Civ Give.
The Civ Give. That is
Civ
right.
Give 2020.
We
Because
do.
that means there's going to be one next year.
Yeah, we do plan to do an annual charity event. So we're calling this charity event the Civ Give, and this is the Civ Give 2020. We are trying to raise $5,000 throughout all 9 streamers, or 7 streamers technically, because we're one streamer, we're 3 people. So if you can join us on December 20th, please do. And we're raising money for Extra Life. If you don't know what Extra Life is, you can get more information.
Moy, are you going to tell them why?
If you don't know,
$5,000?
Extra Life, you can visit extra-life.org. Quick summary is it is a charity event. Normally it's a 24-hour stream. People will do 24-hour streams. We're not going to do that. We're all adults. We don't have that kind of time or energy. Let's be real. I'm in bed after 12 hours of a day. So not going to happen. it's a charity event that raises money for sick kids hospitals, for treatments, for parents who can't afford the treatments as well. I know in Canada we have free healthcare, but somebody has to pay those doctors and those for those hospitals, and so this helps that become a reality. So hopefully you guys will be there.
I bet
and
you before
Aaron TBD redeemed Hydrate, so I'm just gonna do that for him.
Oh, Hydrate, yeah. I bet you before then we can probably get a rep on the show to have a chat.
I know people. I can do that.
I know a couple.
And shout out to one of the streamers in chat right now, Van Bradley.
Yeah, so let's announce who will be joining us for the Civ Give 2020. It's 6 incredible streamers. Do you guys want to do one each, or do you want me to just do it? Or
Sure. No, I like being involved. I like being involved. You know me. I'm so modest most of the time and quiet. That I like the occasional opportunity to get to speak.
All right, so I will start. The first streamer that is, I guess we'll do this in like a more dramatic fashion. The first streamer that is going to be joining us on the Civ Give 2020, like Nystagmus said in the chat right now, Van Bradley, my dude. Let's go. Let's raise this money for these kids, man. Go ahead.
Shout out to Van Bradley. Hello.
Okay, are you gonna go? You go. Someone else.
Sure.
Go. One each. We're
I'll
gonna go around.
I just came across some of his work recently. Some good stuff. He's a sailor friend, or he will be one day a friend. Foibles, the one and only. Foibles,
right.
Is it Foibles the Magnificent? I think is the official title.
You could give it to him. I'm sure he won't mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Hashtag the Magnificent.
My bad. We lost video. It's my bad.
Yeah, we did last video a little bit there.
I was looking at something. My bad. Go ahead, Nystagmus. We lost
the one I'm going to introduce is, I think, has the I know you're showing that kind of little that little tag, that little thumbnail we have.
Mm-hmm.
I think hands down the best headshot, Peppermint Butler.
Yes.
I love that headshot.
Oh,
It's
it's
a great
so
name.
good. Can I show it on the stream right? Like, can I bring that back up? Hold on. Can you guys see it? If I do this? Yeah. Oh, sort of. Darn. Okay. I'll link you guys the
we can see it now.
thumbnail.
If you can just
I'll link the thumbnail right now so they can see what we're talking about.
There you go.
There. But then people with audio, you're still going to be living on suspense here as we announce these new ones. So
we'll try to describe them. Red beard.
Yeah, you said Peppermint Butler, so yeah, he's
Peppermint Butler.
This next guy, really, really good dude. Had an awesome cosplay stream recently as Teddy Roosevelt. It was the most hype thing I think I've ever seen in the Civ community. And if you weren't there, then you were not a fan of Civilization. I'm sorry, because it was quite amazing. And it is, I'm gonna butcher this name, Bose Theseus, or as he'd actually be known just Bose. So Bose is going to be on the Civ Give 2020 as well.
Did we mention the magnificent 100 Games, 100 Days would also be there?
Oh.
I just need everyone to know that this is true. It has been confirmed. He was busy. And we said, how about Tuesday? And he said, Tuesday's no good. And we said, well, how about Wednesday? He said, Wednesday's even worse than Tuesday. And then we said, how about Sunday? And that was...
I was wondering if during the intro, if you were going to like squeeze in a Simpsons quote somehow, and you did it anyway.
I did it.
Wow. And then lastly, who do we have, Nystagmus?
Lastly, we have On Spot TV.
On Spot TV, the CPL representative on Spot TV.
And it's also John Curtin's great nephew's cousin's former roommate, right?
I heard that too. Yeah. Man. That's such a good picture. If you don't know what we're talking about, I made On Spot. He was wearing like a fedora, just like John Curtin in the game. So I put his face to John Curtin's body and put him in the outback. It's a good photo. If you want to see it, hit me up on Discord. I'll send it to you. Those are all going to be all 6 streamers that are going to be featured in the Civ Give, plus yours truly, Moisos, Nystagmus, and Raising Zozo. So please join us December 20th at a TBA time for the TBA format of the Civ Give 2020. We're going to
You'll be
raise
hearing
$5,000 for sick kids hospitals. Help us raise money for sick kids, please.
It's beautiful.
Moving on. Okay, so that was a big announcement. Let's talk about the Byzantines and the Gauls, the two new civilizations.
Did you want a break, or do you want to go right into that?
Let's get right into it because we have more to talk about after the break. So let's talk about the Byzantines and the Gauls. Zoe, you have experience. You released a video today too, didn't you, buddy?
I did.
Yeah.
I released a video. It wasn't didn't have any bells and whistles or sound effects or editing or script or cohesive storyline, but I released it. It got done. The too long didn't read though. Go to like 1 minute or 1 hour or 2 minutes, and I give a good synopsis. It was I like this civ. I really, really like this civ.
The Gaul, you're talking about?
The Gaul. So
Okay.
This is the Gaul specifically. I played both today. I even made a movie for the other one, but we'll see. So they're a culture production civ.
Yeah, the only one.
And I'm amazed by it. Like, I'm sure there's some others that you might be able to consider, but production culture, but they're ancient. They're an ancient. So getting lots of production and culture in the ancient era is huge. The biggest, awesomest thing for them is the oppidum.
Their unique industrial
their
zone,
unique
right?
district. So it's the industrial zone, but they get it at ironworking. So you can get ironworking really, really fast. This allows you to earn great engineer points in the ancient era. So, like, what I found was, you basically get, because usually you're not getting these guys until at least the medieval era.
Mm-hmm.
So I got 3 of the early engineers, and they were all fantastic, and they made a huge impact on my empire, because it's things like a free 3 charges and a free medieval wall in a city.
Yeah.
What?
Man,
that's fantastic.
That's fantastic. I didn't consider that until you mentioned it in your video about the great engineer points, and I saw like how in action, and I was like, oh my god, this is insane.
Just rapidly, you get them so quickly, and the production's nothing to laugh at. Like, it gets a baseline of like a +2 production bonus if it's adjacent to strategic resource or whatever.
What?
When I listen to the thing, because I know the one thing that they have is that you can't build specialty districts immediately next to the city center, right? So how did that work out when you first founded cities? Did you have to culture bomb to try to start getting districts in or something like that? Is that how it operated?
So with your first city, it's not difficult to build a mine. You might have to buy one lot, and that first mine you build is like all the adjacent ones for the first one that you do. Then after that, it's not as many, but it's still almost like each adjacent, or you might get 2 adjacent or 3 adjacent. When you build a new city, that was a little bit of a pain in the butt. Pretty much you want to make sure that you have extra builders. So early builders, go for it. Spam builders, because every mine you're building, you're expanding the borders of your empire. And every mine also produces a +1 culture, and it gives a minor adjacency bonus.
And that will expand your borders too, but
and that will also expand your borders.
Yeah.
I can see someone yelling in the game when we're playing, like Zoe goes, because I can see that city placement would mean a lot, right? So if you're building things near mountains, you got to make sure that you have tiles open that can build districts, right? Because the districts around the city center can't be used, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so you got to be aware of where you're placing your city center for those adjacency bonuses that you could hurt yourself. Now they offset that because mines give them adjacency bonus as well, and then they took away districts that give adjacency bonus because of that power.
Yeah.
So you don't need as many buildings. That's what I found. And because of the culture push, I actually I found that my culture was doing fantastic, and I didn't have to do anything for it. I did not need to build any culture buildings to have a good culture going. So yeah, it was because every unit you build, you get 20% of the unit's production as a lump sum of culture, right? So you end up progressing very rapidly through the culture civics tree, which is a big advantage. And then their early unit, the Gaelic warrior, super effective, very effective at holding off barbarians.
Really good. Yeah.
It is.
What's the exact number for it? Let me see.
Go ahead.
if you know.
It's a 20 base. It replaces the warrior. It's a little more expensive. I think it's like
120
maybe
production or 120 gold, which
it's
I think
120
versus like
gold.
80 gold.
I think it's
right?
like an extra 10 production or like an extra like either 50% or third production.
Ooh.
It does take like 5 turns easily at the
Versus
beginning,
like 2 though or 3.
but
Right?
it gets plus 10 combat bonus against any unit that has a higher attack than it, and like it's a warrior, so like that's every unit pretty much is gonna have a
No,
higher
well, not
attack
necessarily. That is like swordmen basically,
yeah,
so they can fight against swordmen.
yeah,
as a
but
warrior.
And then they get a bonus too with like all the other units around them, and
that's the key, is that they get a +2 bonus for each adjacent, and that's like enemy units too. So they like being surrounded. But the army in the end, you want a big swarm, and they can be very, very effective.
So I guess they went really hard on the whole barbarian hordes thing.
They did. Like this.
Right?
This is built to have a big army. And so most of your cities have good production, and those things can shoot. Those they can make a range attack. Yeah. So like with the barracks, you now got these three units three districts that can fire.
The one thing I thought was interesting when you contrast the two civs that were introduced, so the Byzantines and the Gauls. So one, I think that they did that because they're also related to one another. So Byzantines being kind of the successor to the Roman Empire, and Gaul being kind of like the barbarians that came into the Western Roman Empire and kind of basically eventually became the kings of that area. Is that Byzantine is clearly geared towards an offensive offensive religious game, whereas Gaul seems to be more of, hey, we're going to give you basically an extra encampment. So it's a very defensive empire, and you get to creep your empire out by simply building mines, right? So like,
it's a good analogy,
right? So you can, they've really contrasted those two civs. They have two very different play styles, which is one is very offensive militarily, whereas another one is very defensive, especially early game defensive, kind of like the Mayans being, as probably them and the Mayans will probably be the most early defensive civs in the entire game, right?
And what I found, you can't build a district beside the city center.
So
but
can I
build wonders?
Let me interject there. You can build. Let me clarify. You can build an aqueduct,
a canal,
aqueduct, and a dam beside your city.
Yeah, so just no specialty
districts. Not the districts that have buildings. Not the districts that have buildings.
So even a diplomatic quarter cannot be built beside a city center. Correct.
Correct. Correct. You have to be at least. So that means you cannot get the extra envoy, I believe, is building beside it.
I think I'm double checking, because I'm reading chat right now and I'm double checking.
I think I might be wrong. I don't recall that specific building.
Is the limitation is that it has to be beside a city center? No, it doesn't have to.
No,
it
doesn't.
Okay. No. You just don't get the +1 envoy. Okay.
You don't. Yeah, you just don't get the extra bonus from that.
Okay, whatever. That's like nothing. It's not worth it.
So very cool civ. I'm looking forward to being them on Sunday. I also got to see the full spectrum of the new era system. It's so fun. I really like it.
We'll talk about that after. We'll talk about after the break. Let's move into the Byzantines really quickly, and then we'll take a break. So, how did you feel about the Byzantines versus the Gauls?
So the did either of you get to try them? Sorry if I'm hogging the time.
No. This is we are interviewing you. It's all good.
So so the Byzantine slow start, in my experience, for a civ. They do a bit of a slower start getting the ball rolling. Now, mind you, I did some strange tactics, but that actually works out really well, because the tactic of building lots of cities by the time the Renaissance roll around, that's what you want to do. So you don't need to be super fast. You can do a good paced expansion. I went religion early as fast as I could, and I got it very quickly, because a lot of their abilities were based on religion. And once I started pumping out cities, I got to like 7 cities. That's pretty good. The biggest awesome thing is you basically rush to your divine right, which will get you your knight, so your special unit, okay? And then you start building your hippodromes. So your hippodromes, when they are built, this replaces your entertainment district. It builds on it a free heavy cavalry. Okay,
Yeah.
that you don't have to pay maintenance for, that you don't have to pay upgrades or anything like that for. So once you have like 7 cities, these things are dirt cheap to build. The Hippogro, like even in a crap production city, I think it took 9 turns. Most of my cities was like 4 turns. So when they build, you are dropping this powerful knight unit, or it would be a chariot if you don't have it yet, which is fine. That's a useful unit as well. And then if you build an arena, you get another one. So if you have 7 cities, all right, and this is what I did. I built up to 7 cities, and then I built the hip, and there you go. There's 14 knights for a civic that is great to get anyways, which is monarchy. And then you explode onto the scene. And then like having all that faith meant that I was able to actually convert cities. And I just before the show, I was just on my attacking mode. So yeah, very cool. I like too that this is a civ that once that age, the Renaissance comes and goes, most of their abilities still apply, right? Most of this thing. So their main one is if the city has been converted to your faith, your heavy and light cavalry attack the city walls.
Mhm.
So it's like they brought a battering
They
ram
do full
with them.
damage to city walls.
They
Yeah.
do full damage to city walls.
Yeah.
But you have to have the city's converted. So either you bring some apostles with you, or every unit you kill is like a conversion. You end up converting the city.
Yeah, and I was actually looking up strategies, and I was like, like, would a good strategy be for me if I bring apostles with my army so that I can just convert cities before I then invade? But then I was like, wait a minute, if someone actually mounts a defense to me, like tries to bring their army to fight me, right? That means like, I'm like, wow, what do my opponents have to think about? Oh, wait, the Byzantines are coming. I better build missionaries so I can reconvert my cities as I'm killing, as I'm trying to fend off their attack.
Yeah, maybe you're bringing your missionaries though as part of your assault. I think is what they are. You or sorry, not your missionaries, your apostles. You bring them equipped with medic equipped
or the
with
75% elimination.
75% elimination.
Yeah.
So they're there to support you. And because like I found that I was able to swarm rather effectively. And I also enjoyed using the religious governor. So you put them in like a fringe city. Yeah. You retreat back to it. After one turn, the unit heals to full, and then you send them back in. God. And you can get a nice little rotation going. So yes, absolutely, that would be, or even using Inquisition would be a reasonable. But that's the thing, though. You're diverting those resources into that. I hope that's possible. But they also have each of their holy cities that they convert, including their own, gives all of their units and their religious units a +3 combat. So you end up having that even your apostles are going to be better on average. And if you can convert an enemy holy city, which is where religion is founded, that's an additional plus. So now my apostles are at +6. If there's 4 religions in the game or more, that's +3. That's a cumulative, and that's all your units and all of your holy units as well. And then your knights give you a +4 combat bonus to your holy units as well. So they're coming with you. Yeah. They're basically like support units, essentially, in the medieval era.
I haven't played them yet, and I'm going to play them on Sunday. But in my research for my current Better Noah leader, which is going to be Basil II, I did come up with one criticism I had against the developers for the unique units they've chosen for the Byzantines, especially in the context of Basil II. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but there's a lot of information in my new video. So
you left me hanging.
No, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to let you guys know. I already talked about it in Discord, so it's not like a secret or anything like that. But they use this unit, the Tagma. Now, Tagma, when I was researching this, is really just generic Greek for military battalion, right? It doesn't mean, it's not like a special knight the Byzantines had or anything like that. They're just using the Greek term for this battalion. But Basil actually created a special guard called they're called the Varangian Guard.
Yes, I talked about that.
And so the weird thing about it is that they didn't choose that as the special unit. So what happened and I get into this in the video, but Basil's rise to power was like Game of Thrones style rise to power, right? Especially about all the people around him, because he was co-emperor for like 3 emperors in a row because he was like 2 years old. Yeah. Well, no, his dad. and his dad died, and then his uncle took over, and then his uncle like pissed off his cousin, then killed his uncle, then he became emperor. He was co-emperor this whole time, and
Oh my
he
God.
rises to power, and as soon as he does, because most of the empire, like the Roman Empire and the Byzantine Empire, did not have a good succession um, um,
Like,
rule.
policy. Yeah.
Most of the time when an emperor died, a lot of generals would just show up to the capital city with an army and just try to proclaim themselves emperor.
Oh my God. That
And
sounds
so
like Game of
that
Thrones. Yeah.
right, so that happened to Basil. And what he did was that he convinced the ruler of Kiev, Vladimir, to marry his sister Anna, and then they converted to Orthodox Christianity. And then they sent him 6,000 troops to act as like his guard, his personal bodyguards.
Yeah.
And so he sent those troops in to defeat all the generals that tried to kill him. And then that became like a guard for every emperor after him.
Nice.
And it was kind of like their
Talk about
version of
military tradition.
yeah, it was kind of like their version of the Praetorian Guard
I
that
thought
they had. And the reason why the emperors after him were able to hold on to power was because these soldiers were given a salary, and so they weren't beholden to anyone but the emperor. And so they had their loyalties never tested by any local loyalties in the area. And so I thought that was very interesting. I thought it was really weird that maybe they didn't use that unit as like the unique unit that Basil would have. And so yeah, I thought that was interesting in my research.
I thought those guards were purposefully recruited from like other nations because of the loyalty thing. So from what I read, it was to those guards were to prevent inner empire riots, rebellions, right?
That's how they started. Yeah, they started, and they were mainly Scandinavian.
Yes,
when they first came over. But in the real truth, Vladimir, the people he gave him, he basically gave him all the troublemakers in his army.
Oh well, okay.
Just to get rid of them, because it was like part of the alliance, right? So he's just like, here, take these 6,000 guys, and they're all like, like troublemakers and stuff,
it's like
right? So,
here, Game of Thrones reference again. The North people, they protect the wall. Those guys.
The Night
yeah,
Watch.
Yeah, the Night
The
Watch.
Night
Like
Watch,
they're
yeah.
all like criminals,
But-
right? Yeah.
yeah, so it was like that kind of, and so
Oh my God! Wow.
and so I thought that was like a really interesting history. But then the guard became like a salaried army essentially. So the guard became like this salaried army that the emperor was at the emperor's beck and call, and so they were very loyal to the emperor because that was the person who was paying them out of the treasury. And so that I thought that was very interesting.
Would it surprise
oh
you
my
that
God.
Praetorian Guard is a new policy card?
Is it really?
Oh, I can't talk about it till after the break. Sorry.
Damn. Speaking of, we should probably take that right now. Let's take a little bit of a break. When we come back, we're gonna be talking about.
By the way, that little piece of information was just a taste of what's in the video for the next.
It's
for the
so delicious.
When we come back, we're going to be talking about the rest of the patch notes that don't have to do with the new civilizations, the new wonders, what do they do, all of the little tweaks that they made in the game as well, the important ones, at least that we want to talk about. So don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right.
Welcome back to the Civ Show podcast, where we suck so you do not have to. Let's talk about the other things that were featured in the September 2020 update for the new Frontier Pass. We have a new game mode, ladies and gentlemen. It's called Dramatic Ages. What do you think about it?
It's I like it a lot. It's both wondrous and terrifying, which is what you have to hope for. I've had a few ages through it, and it can be both like I said, glorious and devastating. So now there's no longer a normal age.
Right.
Okay, so you just have either a golden age or a dark age.
Yeah.
If you earn additional points beyond what you need for the golden age, they keep on going, and it adds it to your you'll end up getting a bonus for loyalty
pressure. Yeah.
If you go into a dark age, and I'm pretty sure this was the observation I made, you'll get to keep some of that as a surplus to help you out with your next.
Really?
Pretty sure.
Huh.
I might have looked at that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the case.
I don't know.
I did watch your video, and I liked your commentary on when you had a couple of your cities become free cities. You're like, yeah, these cities turned into dirty neutrals.
what drives a man neutral? So for the Gaul video, specifically, I had 2 golden ages and a dark age. So I got a good whiff of it.
Good waft.
Good waft. So when you hit a golden age, it's no longer that you don't get dings for normally when you hit a golden age, the only way then to get era points is through wonders and the other things, not through things like science and what have you.
Right.
Now, if you research a science or if you research a civic, you get 1 era point, whether you're in a golden age or in a dark age. So no matter what, you're getting an era point. And then if you gain a promotion beyond your first, you get an era point. And then you get an era point if you paddle on the canoe. That's an error point. Staring at the teacher, you better believe that's an error point.
Hey Sharks, guess where that's from?
Yeah. So you can earn error points on top of the other ways that you would get error points. Then the new addition is everything is policy cards now.
Yeah,
okay.
That's nuts.
So,
oh my god.
Which is, I'm really especially with the Americans or the Greeks or anyone that gets a wild card, like a bonus or something gets turned into a wild card.
Yeah.
This game mode is going to be huge. Or I guess now Georgia gets
one. I'm actually looking forward to playing Georgia. I'm not gonna lie.
These policy cards are redonkulous. So many of them sound like the old policy cards, so I only did the ancient era one, so I don't know about the later era.
Okay, well we can read through them afterwards. So
you don't want me to read through them now?
No, read through those. I meant the later ones, like the modern era ones and the whatever.
Yeah, sure. So the first one's free inquiry. So your commercial hubs and your harbor districts make gold makes the same amount of science, and your campuses make gold. So all 3 of those make gold in science. That is one that you can choose. I love that. That's a lot of gold in science in the right sort of, especially if you're using the owls. Monumentality, that's your same old +2 for all your builders and settlers, and you can purchase them with faith. Okay, so that hasn't changed. The Exodus of the Evangelists, I think is pretty much the same. +2 movement for religious, and then +4 charges. And then the Praetorian Guard. Didn't we just hear that term, the Praetorian Guard? There is now a civic for war during a golden era. And specifically, this one is wounded units can heal +10 hit points per turn, +2 production to encampment districts and buildings, which I'm guessing in there. Stables, That's great. That's healing across the board is super useful.
That's oh my god. That with the Byzantines is just ruthless, man.
Throw that in there too. God. Yeah. So they're all fun. Now the problem is though, you get them if you get your classical era one, you probably don't have political philosophy yet. So most civilizations for your first golden age, for a big chunk of it, you're not even getting an advantage. So now I encourage you, gentlemen, go and get, not that you shouldn't be doing that anyways, but get it as quickly as you can. Get political philosophy so that you can
Always.
benefit
Yeah.
from these guys. And then, as always, your cities generate extra culture, extra
What?
loyalty. Sorry, loyalty is
Yes.
what I
Yes.
meant to say.
They exert
They exert
additional.
more.
So normally it's like 1.5 times the amount of population in your city, and then it decreases for every tile up to 9 tiles, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So that like you get that. So it's not like more loyalty. You exert more loyalty. That makes sense.
So, flip side of the coin, Dark Ages. So yeah, don't Golden Ages sound fantastic and
Yeah.
sparkly and wonderful? You would always want one. You know what you don't want is a Dark Age. So I found out the hard way about Dark Ages because I got one and it sucked a lot. And the first couple ages, it's easy to hit your to get your Golden Age, and then it gets a lot harder. Where like I was like, oh my god, I'm like 14 points from being able to get a Golden Age. So, you get your typical Dark Age stuff, your loyalty goes down. You still have the same sort of earning things that will get you era points. So if you discover a science or discover a civic, you'll get an era point. Same thing for
Yep.
upgrading
Yep.
units, all that stuff. However, the little add-on that they did is now a couple of your cities turn neutral on you. So they flip just like a rebellion. And it sucks. I had two cities that I had just built medieval walls with my engineer in,
Oh no.
and they both flipped, and I was like, okay, I
Oh
am
man.
not taking those back. Now, fortunately, one of them was 6 turns from rebellion. I hope to me and not to the opponent, but that really sucked. All of a sudden, having these two cities popped up. At least though, I believe normally with a rebellion, if you had a unit in the city, it dies. It's just eliminated.
With
Pretty sure, right?
rebellion, no. It's when it's the city's
No.
captured, you lose the city. But if it
Okay.
rebels, I think it just
I think
moves
it
away.
rebels. It moves out of your borders. It
Yeah,
moves right
yeah,
to the border
yeah.
with the
Okay. I
free city
wasn't. I
borders.
couldn't remember. I thought that if it flips, I thought that it. Okay. Well, it at least expels it. So you at least have that opportunity to take it back. But I think it's just the lowest loyalty, and that can be pretty easy to do. It can be a real big pain in the butt. So that really, really sucked to have that happen. The policy cards are actually pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I'm
Like
looking at
these
one of
are
these.
worth saying. Yeah. So like isolationism is like that's an easy like go for it. All of your domestic trade routes +3 food, +3 production, +3 gold. Okay, that's pretty good. You just can't train settlers. All
Yeah,
right, that's
I've
not.
used this one. I've used this one a
Yeah,
lot, actually. Yeah.
that's not too bad. I think it used to be less than that. I think this
It
is a
just
little
used to
bit
be
better.
food and production, but now
Yeah,
it includes the +3
that
gold.
that gold is good.
Yeah.
The Baron Robbers, I think has gotten better. So +50% gold, +25% production in cities with banks or a shipyard, and then -2 amenities. I think that's slightly
Sounds
better. Could be wrong. Um,
I
then
don't
you've got
remember what that means.
your soft target. So this is +10 combat strength versus city attacks and district defenses, but -3 combat strength against units. So this is like, you know, just go
This
and
is crazy. This is a war one, then you're aggressive in a dark age. That's so
yeah.
crazy.
So this is to encourage you to do that. Um,
Wow.
Despotic paternalism. This is a neat one. +4 loyalty per turn in cities with a governor, but -15% science, -15% culture in all cities without an established governor.
Oh, so
So
this
that's
could,
actually not that bad.
yeah,
That's
okay.
actually not that bad. That's one that like, if you as long as you got your governor set up. And like the ones I'm reading right now too, these are I think the medieval ones, so there might be a couple in between
You're
there.
reading some industrial ones.
Maybe this is Renaissance I think that I'm looking at right
I'm
now.
literally looking at it right now. It says industrial.
Okay. All right, maybe I'm that far along in the game. Now, my new favorite one that I was like, this is really cool, and I could see you making a big comeback with this one, even though it kind of really sucks, is the Samoders
Oh my
Hyviri.
god, yeah. Samoderziavi.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
see it.
you get a plus 50% production bonus in your capital. Okay, that to me is like Civ 4. Those of us that maybe remember Civ 4, that's what Civics gave you, the
Oh
civic,
my
the bureaucracy.
God.
You got plus 50% production in your capital and plus 50% gold.
But
This is
the
this, but
repercussion to
the
this is
bad
nuts.
repercussions is but big capital letters, but all governors are neutralized and cannot be reestablished. So
Oh,
you have an entire era where your capital is leading the way. But like the thing about these is that I actually see situationally where like these would save your empire, right?
yeah,
Where it's
I can see
something
it.
like my capital is all I got left. All right, who gives a shit about all of these other generals? Go for it. Or like, all right, like that internal trade, that could revitalize. So I like that these actually kind of suggest revitalizing the empire, and these are very, very focused. So when you're Georgia, apparently, Moy, on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
when you have,
I
I
can
think,
choose.
a heroic
Yeah.
age, or is it just a golden age?
It's just golden. It's just
You,
golden and dark. There's no heroic, I don't think.
I think you're gonna come up with some crazy combinations there.
Dude, like, so this is kind of cool though, because when you think of like even a recession, like a dark age, right? Like a common dark age, a recession. It's like they do a lot of policies in real life to like, it's like, we lower the mortgage rate so more people can buy this, but then
Right.
overall the country probably has like less money because of the stock market's crashing, right?
Monetary policy.
Yeah, so like that's kind of neat. It's like 50% production in the capital, but all the governors are neutralized. Like that's so crazy. Because if you have a production problem, you're like, okay, whatever. I need this key district in my capital, and I need an industrial zone. So you put that in there, get an industrial zone up, build these buildings, and then take that card out, and then boom. Now your production problem is solved. You can put your governors back, and your civilization is now up and running again. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that could be the difference.
I was finding, because what Moy's basically suggesting is, you can switch your policy cards, right, throughout
Yeah.
the age. You don't keep
Yeah.
this throughout the age, right? I was doing that, and exactly for that purpose, like just temporarily. Okay, now, okay, it's done. That's a great way to build a bunch of wonders. So yeah, the Dark Age is devastating, losing 2 cities, and if that's what it is, I've played a couple games, and so far that's what it's been. 2 cities go.
Okay.
If it's just like that, 2 non-capital cities, that is devastating.
Depends on the difficulty. That's what it is.
Maybe.
It is. It is. So Prince,
Is it
the CPU and the human will lose the same amount if they're in a dark
Right.
age.
Yeah.
The harder difficulties you play, the human loses more than the CPU.
So, and it's interesting you mentioned that. That's what I found really fascinating about this. If you have a Dark Age, you're going to lose that city. That's a neutral city. It's fair game, Moy.
It's fair game. It's fair game.
Fair game. I'm coming for that city. You can't. No, Moy, I'm not declaring war on you. This is a neutral city.
Yeah.
So
it's
I think,
fun. That's cool.
Yeah,
think
in
it's-
reality, what's gonna happen is like if I ever did that to Zoe would be like, I consider that my city still. I consider it my
that's
city.
fine.
Much like I am,
city, that is a
much like I am, much like when I'm the Caesarian of a city-state, that is my city, and I consider it my empire. And if you attack it, then you're declaring war.
That's a
That's what's gonna
declaration
happen.
of war.
That's what's
Foreign,
actually gonna happen.
Foreign policy is whatever we make it, Nystagmus. Okay, if
Yeah,
you
you
if
could
you
say
at
the same
least I
thing.
let you know,
If you're that bold, do it.
You could
Yeah.
you could totally say the same thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this mode. I think it'll complement secret societies really, really well, and make for a really cool game in the future. So I hope you guys like it too.
I'm just looking at isolationism and thinking, oh, Georgia has access to dark age policy cards whenever they want, and so it's like, oh, I'm just not building any settlers right now. Let's just put this in so I can have really good domestic trade routes. And they're like, oh, I want to build a settler. Just take it out. Look, it's just
Take it out.
wow, amazing. I've never been more excited in my life to play Georgia. I don't think I'll ever be more excited in my life to play Georgia.
This will be the only time.
This will be the only time.
What I and I don't want to backpedal or anything, but what I think would be interesting about the whole free city state thing would be you can take someone's city states without a formal declaration of
Yes,
war.
that's
right?
what Zoe was. Yeah.
That's the idea behind it, right? So yeah, like
So
Now-
it's like,
oh, yeah.
now you got to be the bag. You got to declare war on me now.
Karn-
yeah, I'm not going to declare war on you.
Karn Dog 37, Statue of Zeus. You want
Yeah,
to talk about the
let's
statue
talk
of
about the
Zeus?
statue of Zeus, dude. Okay, who wants to introduce?
So I
this?
was
You go for
50%
it. You
right
go
on
for it,
this. I was
Nystagmus.
50. I'm gonna call it. I was 50% right on this.
I was 50% right on it too, though.
I say that I thought they were gonna do the most OP thing they could with it, because that's just what they've been doing lately, right? They're like, hey man, what should we do? Should we make this like super OP or just normal OP? I'm like, no, all the way OP, right? So I thought when they were going to add the production bonus, it was going to be to all units, right? But I guess not. But when you build it, you get way more units than I thought you would. Like it said grants free units, and then you get production bonus. So I was like, oh, you get like one unit, like every other thing that gives you a free unit.
Yeah, right.
This one, Archer, 3 spearmen, and a battering ram, right? Like. Now, granted, that's great for Roy because now it didn't give him cavalry units and the battering ram.
Yes.
Here we
Yes.
go. Yeah. Okay. All right. I deserve this. I deserve this.
And so, but then 50% production towards anti-cavalry units and plus 3 gold per turn. So, yeah, like that. Honestly, I think that's just like, I think Zoe was right that when we talked about it, like basically think about all the special units in the game. The vast majority of them are like these special cavalry units that people get that are like really overpowered.
Yeah.
And so this is just kind of like a wonder that's just like, now you're immune to all the OP civs in the game. And, you know, like, oh, Grand Columbia got you down, build Temple of Zeus. Now you can build like all these anti-cavalry units.
Right.
And so
I think we need a commercial now. You got you down? Here's the solution. Temple of Zeus.
Oh, dude, making that video tomorrow. It's gonna happen.
All right, let's do it.
Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
But it does seem like a pretty powerful wonder, right? And it'd almost be worth it simply just for the free units too, right?
Three archers and 3 spearmen. Now you could be in a situation though where you can't move them. Does that mean you have to delete them?
Why wouldn't you be able to move them?
So, or does it like where does it build them? Because like this is 6 units suddenly being built in a city, so this is stacking.
From what I saw on the picture, yeah, they all stack on top of each other, but you just need to move them right away.
Right. So what if you can't?
You can move some. No, there's no. That's not possible.
Will it let you skip your turn? Because I thought you couldn't end a turn.
You don't have to be able to move them immediately. You just have to move them on your next available opportunity.
Yeah. And then if you can't move them, move them, yeah, they can't attack when they're stacked on top of it. It's like when you have a unit in a city, but you have another unit that gets built in the city, you have to move like the melee or the one unit before you can shoot with either of them, right?
What I like about this one too is it's pretty much a free Eureka for mercenaries. 6 units. That's 2 units from getting that ding.
That's true. I never thought about that.
Oh, Karndog does say if you were sieged.
Yeah, so if you're sieged and building this, yeah, you're gonna you might be having a bad time.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
But
much like how I learned how that's what happens with vampires, right? Like, when your vampire gets moved back to your capital, if it's attacked immediately after that, it dies. And so, I was sieged at one point though. Like someone killed my vampire and my capital was sieged.
Oh.
And so then my vampire died for good. So, so I guess in that rare instance though, but really, if you're building a wonder when your capital is sieged, I think your priorities are not the greatest at that point. It's
this wonder is also quite expensive. Okay, just for hindsight. So a pyramid is 220 production.
Okay.
Statue of Zeus is 400 production. That is a big investment.
But if you total
same as Petra.
If you total up the amount of production it takes to build 3 archers, 3 spearmen, and a battering ram, what's the difference between that?
Oh, sure. No, absolutely. No question. I'm just saying that for an ancient wonder, that is probably the most expensive ancient wonder. That's like a medieval wonder cost.
I mean, if you got work ethic, then
sure. If you have work ethic, you can build anything you
build
want.
Whatever you want.
You build the GG buildings. You build the GG buildings. That's what you do, right? Like you get work ethic, you build GG buildings, you GG at the end of the game.
Yeah,
right?
you just build wonders, man. I think one of the you guys talk about the unit spawn, but I care more about the 50% production towards anti-cavalry units. Reason being,
that is a big deal.
Yeah, reason being, melee units after swordmen or even swordmen, all require a strategic resource. You get iron for your swordmen, musketmen for your, niter for your musketmen, oil for your infantry. None of the anti-cavalry units need any strategic resource. So if you are in a pickle and you don't have any strategic resources, you can always build anti-cavalry. So this is almost a guarantee that you will have faster production in a current era unit at all times. And I think that is really good.
And it's all your cities, right?
All your cities.
Yeah. So it's definitely a spectacular ancient wonder. 400 production is double the pyramids, basically. So it is, you are dedicated if you're going to pull this one off. However, if you're a civ that gets, say, engineers quickly,
so like the Gaul would be really good because they can boost their production towards wonders, but this is also a very good investment for
imagine
civs that have
a game
anti-cavalry unique units like Greek, Sweden.
Yeah,
Imperial,
imagine
Shaka.
a civilization game
Shaka, yeah.
where the best civilization that can build the Temple of Zeus is a barbarian civilization.
The
Right?
Gaelics.
And I don't know if anyone knows this, barbarian is Greek for literally like non-Greek. It's Greek for like foreigner, right? So anyone who basically you're a barbarian if you don't speak Greek. That's basically what the term means.
We're barbarians. We are
yes, we are.
Right
yes,
on.
we are.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, maybe an apostle can come and recruit us over to the Greek Empire. That'd be nice.
So that's that wonder. I did not get to the biosphere, so I was not able to see the biosphere.
That's fine. We can talk about it in theory.
Well, it's available right in front of us via our computers.
Yeah, the biosphere. So it must be built along a river adjacent to a neighborhood district. So it's a double whammy requirement there. In Gathering Storm, it receives plus. The more I think about it, the more ridiculous this is. It receives plus 200% power for all offshore wind farms, solar farms, wind farms, and geothermal plants and hydroelectric dams. So basically,
that makes hydroelectric dams better than coal power plants.
So
wow,
electric dams give you plus 6 power per turn. That can charge. I don't know how much power everything needs, but let's just say 6 things. We'll say
it can power those Discord. So he doesn't keep dropping out of the call, right?
Yo, whoa.
Wondrous! I was what? It blew my lid.
Yeah, so 200% power. I know the hydroelectric dam produces 6, so 200% of power, 20 or 18.
I'm more interested
power?
in this whole tourism
crazy.
thing that they do for those places.
Right. So it provides 18 power for one hydroelectric dam. That is insane.
And then 18 tourism.
That's almost your entire 18. That's almost your entire empire you can power with this one thing. And then plus, yes, the building these provide tourism equal to their power. So it'd be like 18 tourism per turn. What the hell?
So and then think about it. If you get that, then you could just spam wind farms like everywhere.
Yeah.
And get tourism. That's how you can push yourself above the thing for
because there's very little.
Because apparently, as soon as you build the biosphere, people then suddenly don't think wind farms are eyesores, and so.
Do you still get the
too
science
real,
bonus?
man? Too real. Sorry.
You still get the science bonus when this thing is built?
No, that's only for base and rise and fall because those games don't contain power.
Right.
Yeah. So if you don't have Gathering Storm, if you have the vanilla or base game or Rise and Fall, when completed, you receive 100 science for every marsh, rainforest, and woods in the city that the biosphere is built in. You also get +1 appeal. This is in both games. You get +1 appeal to tiles adjacent.
That reminds
to
me
rainforest
when I got Galileo in the last game, where I was able to get 100 science for every adjacent mountain tile. And like every tile on my land was mountains.
Oh.
And I got Galileo, and I was able to build like 5 I was able to research 5 things in a row with 1 turn. It's
was that the first time you've ever gotten him?
No, but like I've never seen it. Like I was like, oh, so I don't have to strategize where I put them. I can put them anywhere, and it doesn't matter, and just get all the science.
Yeah, it's like it's like a one-time boost of like, oh, here's like 5 free sciences. It's nice. It's very nice. But the biosphere, obviously really good with Brazil because they already have the +1 adjacent or +1 appeal to their rainforest. So this is an additional +1 appeal to their rainforest. So like the amount of national parks you can put into rainforests is completely insane. This would also go well, I think, with Maori because they don't want to build improvements on their trees and rainforests anyway, and they can build national parks with the rainforests now. If you compare that with Eiffel Tower, get more appeal into your land, then suddenly Maori has a ton of national parks, and they become one of the best culture victory civs in the game.
This is still a late atomic era.
Yeah.
You get this with synthetic materials, and that was sort of the discussion. When would you get this? So as massively awesome as it is, and it's like this would be a game changer, I think, late game.
Yes.
Especially given what
you would use this to push you over the edge for victory.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Like that's what you would do, right? Like you would time it so that you would suddenly get tourism for all of the windmills you've already built, for all of the hydroelectric dams you already have. And it would be like, oh, I'm going to build this, and then it's going to push my culture above the threshold for victory.
Your tourism shoots up, too, because all of the buildings provide their bonus in tourism equal to their power. Like, that's... Yes. So, but it is a very late game wonder. Very late game.
That's fine.
So we'll probably never see it.
That's very true, but that's fine. The game needs late game wonders as well.
Yes, it does.
Like Broadway is lackluster because like realistically you don't need that many great works. Sydney Opera House is pretty terrible as well. Same reason.
Right. Fair.
There's not a lot of good late game wonders. So this at least
this is a good
one. This is a very good one. Anything else?
The only other thing I saw in the patch notes that was really interesting, I don't know if you guys saw this. So Antioch is no more.
Right, because that was Byzantine, right?
Yeah, Antioch is now becoming Venice.
Yeah.
As a city-state.
So no like Caesarian changes, it's just the name change. That's it.
Yeah. Venice is coming back.
Where is Antioch from?
Sorry?
Antioch is a Byzantine city.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, does that
so Antioch is in Asia Minor or modern day Turkey. It is one of the cities that formed it's one of the major cities that the Crusaders took in 1100 when they took Jerusalem. It was one of the major cities that was forming their base. So Jerusalem, Antioch was another one, and there was another major city that was the base of operations for them. So Antioch's a very important city in the Byzantine and Caliphate empires, the Muslim Caliphate. So it makes sense that it would no longer be a city state. It's been part of many empires.
Yeah. So they have to replace it. I think the last thing that really is major in this update is that they fixed the work ethic bug. So now, when your holy sites get pillaged, when you repair it, you get the adjacency back. So now the whole plan of if you get worth ethic, just go and pillage all their holy sites. No longer a strategy.
Makes sense again.
I don't know. I liked that. Bring that back. It should be like if it's pillaged, but not if it's killed by like a natural disaster. If it's pillaged, like that's the only way to counter this thing. Like, come on.
One city state they should bring in. You know, what'd be really cool as a city state for them to bring in.
Who?
Troy.
Oh. Yeah.
And have it give you like defensive bonuses.
Like military city state.
Yeah, a military city state that gives you defensive bonuses. It makes your walls better. Because Troy was known for its walls.
So it would be like +5, +10 combat strength to
even just like +50% or something like that. Plus
or if you're Caesarian, it makes your walls behave as if they're one level higher.
Oh, whoa. Yeah. Okay. So then, but once steel happens, like they're done.
Yeah,
Which makes
it
sense,
would be like a very early
yeah,
advantage that you can get.
That would make actually sense though, like historically, I think too.
The only other city that has famous walls like Troy would be Constantinople. Constantinople.
Are you sure it's not Istanbul?
Well, ancient Constantinople, modern day Istanbul, right? But
Well,
Istanbul is not
even old
really.
New York was once New Amsterdam, and why they changed it, I can't say. I'm guessing people just liked it better that way.
Well, I'm just using as the name that actually had the walls, because the walls are actually not really intact anymore in Istanbul. But Constantinople, back when it was called Constantinople, used triple walls. So its walls were actually like impregnable. Like you couldn't get through them at all.
And
They could actually be repaired in between attacks.
and the Titanic was also an unsinkable ship.
Yes, it was. I
Unsinkable.
hear, it worked great until the Turkish bombard came. I'm glad though with Byzantine
even when gunpowder was invented, the only reason why the Turks took the city was because they overwhelmed it. Right? It was like, yeah, like if you have like 1,000,000 bombards, then yeah, you're gonna take it down. But it was because they overwhelmed them with force at that time.
And they cut off their. This is
And
what I
also-
learned. This is what I learned by being the Ottomans. They
Oh.
cut off their naval access, which is
Yeah.
how they were able to keep the
And we have
city.
to remember too, the Byzantine Empire at that time was nothing more than really a city-state at that point.
Right.
Like, and no one really knows this. Do you know the real reason why the Byzantine Empire fell?
Oh, what's the real reason why the real Byzantine Empire?
Wait, I
fell?
want to guess. I want to
okay.
guess.
Okay.
Syphilis.
No.
AIDS.
Oh, that's too soon.
During, I can't remember which crusade it was, but during one of the crusades, the Latin crusaders from Western Europe came in on Venetian ships, showed up in Constantinople before they launched their attack on into the Holy Lands. But when they got there, they were told that the Byzantine emperor was going to give them money, and the Byzantine emperor didn't have the money. So then they sacked Constantinople and installed a new emperor. And that basically they basically sacked it and looted the entire city. And so European crusaders destroyed Constantinople, and it never regained it stuck around for another 150 years or so afterwards, but it would never regain its power after that. They completely destroyed the empire after that.
Lords and nobles, let that be a lesson to you. Pay your mercenaries. Okay? Pay your mercenaries. That's how they stayed alive so long, right? Like the Byzantine Empire was gold, right? They were just paying off, tribute to not attack them, I do believe. And then they ran out of gold, or the Turks didn't care anymore about gold.
Not sure.
The only other little thing for this was the Highland map.
Right.
And I had the pleasure of trying it, and I liked it, and I think Moy will love it.
I think I'll love it.
I think he'll just like get very excited about it. I'd like us to use it on Sunday, but I will note that like it has inland like seas, but it's not an ocean, so boats are not as useful.
We won't get to see the Droman in action.
Yeah,
Greek
so
fire.
we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what map gets selected in the end. It is up to Nystagmus to choose the map, so we will let him choose it, and we'll have a little bit of a surprise when you tune in on Sunday. Do you guys want to add anything else before we wrap up for the night?
The only thing is I am very pleased so far with the pack, with the Frontier pack.
Dude, the Frontier Pass has been amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give it to you, Fraxis. These are some really cool additions. Each civ is like fun. I don't think either of these civs is broken. And they seem to, can't all be Grand Colombia. And I actually, in hindsight, I don't think that Byzantine is the new Grand Colombia. I think Grand Colombia is still
honestly, and just as a point of contention, right? Because the video game industry has been taken over by companies making people buy a lot of downloadable content in order to make the game playable. I think this is a good example of how to do that without screwing over the consumer.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like it's a pretty decent price. Like it wasn't like overly expensive for this Frontier Pass. You get a lot of content, so it's not like cosmetic changes. It's not like anything. They actually go in and they change the game. They give you new modes. They give you like changing the modes, like Secret Societies changes the game almost entirely.
Yeah,
And
completely
so
different game.
and so I think like the one thing we can give them a pat on the back for is, hey, in an era where we're using more downloadable content to enhance games after you buy them, this is probably like the closest way to do it right. That's best for the consumer, as opposed to like, you know, everyone nails like, you know, Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty is the one that like
it's the worst.
completely destroys this. Like,
Jesus.
it's like the worst way of doing downloadable content. Like, you basically can just like buff your own person that you use by paying more money and stuff like that, which is not the way to do it. It doesn't change the experience. All it does is it makes the experience better for like a select few people and makes it worse for everyone else, right?
Pay to play is not pay to win.
Whereas the way that they're doing it is, hey, pay for this like passport. Essentially, it's a one-time fee, and we'll give you a whole year's worth of content for this one-time fee. As opposed to like, hey man, hey, only some people can buy Grand Columbia, or only some people can buy the Byzantine Empire, or something like that. Instead of it being all this piecemeal thing, it's like you get a whole package for it. And so I definitely hope they don't go away from it, because you can definitely turn it into more of a cash cow if you make it so you have to buy like each Civ independently or something like that.
Which is sort of what they did at first, right?
They have that option. They have that option, right? If you don't want the game modes and you just want the Civs, they have like the Grand Columbia and Maya pack. Right. But if you buy the New Frontier Pass, you get that automatically and the game modes.
And I think, and we're not being paid at all by anything, by any measure.
Yeah, we're not affiliated with them at all. Yeah, just want to make that clear.
But what I'll say is, you know, there's something about value for your money.
And Carnog's right, but the idea is that they gave the choice, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah, you can get vanilla. You can get the vanilla, and it's a perfectly good game.
It's a great game. Yeah.
What I like about this is I found the value was worth it. Civ, like, I don't know if Civ fans are unique in this, but like Civ is a special kind of fan that we really do love the game, and these are improvements to the game, and they do make the game interesting and fun. And the cool thing is you can turn them on, turn them off. It's not like a permanent embedded thing that this is just the way the game works now.
Maybe I'm a boomer as well about this too, because I'm in my 30s now, but like the contact I've had with like the way the Civ developers reach out to the community, like you have a face, right? They like, it's not like, I don't know if any other game really does it on the same level as they do, where they give updates personally. And I don't know if it's also maybe a result of the pandemic, right? Like how they aren't in groups anymore and stuff, so they're doing this all remotely, and maybe that's how they're doing it, and that's how the pandemic kind of shaped how they come up with releases now. But they're like giving like these updates where each person has like their own voice, and you get to see them and interact with them, kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
Now I know what you mean.
The development team. Yeah,
the development team, I meant. Yeah. And so like they're pretty active, they're pretty responsive as well, it seems. And it might be a genre thing too, because the Humankind, I know we talked about that, they seem to be kind of in that same mold as well. They seem pretty responsive to like the community that they're trying to build.
You have
for that
to be
game.
now. You have to be.
And so I just hope it becomes more of an industry trend.
Yeah.
Right?
So
this is the exception, not the rule right now, and I hope it becomes more of the rule.
So there are really reachable people that they have on their team on Twitter. Carl, aka Borderline, he's also in a lot of streams. So I noticed that like on these patch days or on these videos where the first look comes out, he's in all of the streams at like 3 p.m. Like he's doing his job and he's QAing, because he's a QA lead. He's QAing all of the questions that people have, like, do mines capture enemy territory for culture bombs on Gaul? He's like, no, it doesn't work like that. It only claims unowned territory. He answers every question that everybody has, but he also is very good because he doesn't spoil anything that wasn't announced. He'll say like, oh, by the way, God of the Forge is really good with Byzantines, right? Like he'll kind of give his thoughts that way, but he doesn't spoil anything, and he's really good to reach out to for any questions on the game. So shout out to Carl, you're doing your job. Thank you for doing the good Lord's work.
And then Stay Dog in the chat. Let's be real, fellas. Civ is a boomer game.
I guess I'm up there in the boomers. 26 years old, boomer, baby. That's me. Just call me baby boomer.
Vindication!
Your kids and your music.
kids do music. Yeah.
If you're listening and you want to follow us on social media, you definitely should, because we're really active on Twitter. So you should go on to twitter.com/TheCivShow, or you should just look us up on Twitter at TheCivShow. You'll find us there, and you should follow us for daily content.
Although, Moy, if you're looking for the more intimate connection,
tell me
you
more. Yes.
You definitely should join us on our Discord. We have a fantastic community of really engaged individuals. We have lots of great chats. There's always a new pet pick up there. We haven't got any lizards, though. What's up with that? We need a gecko or a snake, maybe a spider, an insect. I don't know. Either way, though, please join us on our Discord. It's where we do a lot of our coordinating with the community. And to be honest, when we run community games, it is our Discord community that we're usually looking to first, because we know how fantastic you all are. So join us on our Discord. Check us out there.
Okay. And you all know that we make content on Twitter. Sorry, on Twitch, not Twitter. I almost had it that time. And so the other place where we make content, now finally all 3 members of the Civ Show are now making content on this platform on YouTube.
So this is incredible. The world is falling apart. What is happening?
So definitely check us out on YouTube. Apparently, Zoe now has a segment there called Zoe's Raising
Reviews.
Right, so nice.
Super long.
Yeah.
I have a video series right now called Better Know a Leader, where I talk more about history of the leaders, kind of a general background. So far, I've done Sir Wilfrid Laurier, Coupe of the Maori, and I've done Robert the Bruce of the Scots. And now I'm going to be doing Basile II. That's going to be coming out in the next couple days. For the Better Know a Leader. And then Moy, he does kind of more freestyle videos on kind of more topical subjects of the civilization community. So check us out on YouTube. Give us a subscribe there, and I hope you enjoy our content there as well.
Raw and uncut.
Thanks for listening, guys. Really appreciate it. Be sure to tune in on Sunday for our unveiling of the Gaul and the Byzantines and the dramatic ages with Georgia. Oh, baby, because it's going to be a fantastic game. We hopefully you can tune in Sunday at 7 p.m. for the Civ Show.
Sunday. If you're not there, you better be dead.
How dare you interrupt that guy do his Sunday? Are you serious? Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Going to.
Oh,
More important.
okay. Well.
I vote that we, when we sign off, we have everyone check out one of the other streamers that are going to be in the Civ Give, which is Foibles. He just started streaming.
He just started streaming?
Well, we're going to raid. We'll definitely raid. Where are we raiding, Moy?
I guess Foibles right now. But yes, for sure, if you're listening right now on Spotify, Foybles, Foibles. Check him out. He's a really good dude, really nice guy as well. Wow, one of the better people in the civilization community. Everybody in the Civ Give is one of the better people in the civilization community, so definitely give them all a check. But let's go ahead and check on Foibles right now, and we'll see you guys on Sunday.
Good night.
Good night.
You post where we go.
Wait.